Close that window from the bedroom, please. The air conditioner should be on.
Take the AC on.
Happy day.
When people come on to you, you don't have to say anything.
somebody with some music, so let's just mute everyone, please. We're enjoying the music. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But we need you to mute. I don't know. Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so this is a good time to just send out any further invitations you have to anybody else who wants to join us in the summit today. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to say hello. So hello to everybody, because it is morning in some places, afternoon in others, evening in others. This is how dedicated we are in the state of the African diaspora across Pan-African organizations, because we are serious about this Lumi. And the Lumi Stimulus Summit is well into, maybe this is the 6th week of summits we are holding in an order to educate and really spread the message, the news, and an understanding of not only what the Lumi is, how we anticipate it will work and revolutionize our relationship with Mother Africa and each other as Pan-Africanists, but also how you get it, how you actually begin to get it so that you can begin to trade in Lumi. So welcome, welcome, welcome to another Pan-African Organizations Lumi Summit organized by your state of the African diaspora. My name is DeAndre Hamilton. I'm the official spokesperson, honored to do this every time for our amazing group of people. And we are joined once again by a very esteemed panel as we take you through the process of receiving the Lumi for your organization, and also how you can actually trade, connect, network, so that you can make the Lumi useful to you. We're going to do a roll call at this point because we have a whole lot of nations joined in today's cities, states, well represented, and we are seeing more and more people enter the room as we speak. So we want to give a shout out, as some of us would say, to New York, London, Liberia, Jamaica, Malawi, Paris, Zambia, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Tanzania, Panama, Dominica in the Caribbean, Bahamas in the Caribbean, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Martinique, also in the Caribbean, Accra, which is in Ghana, the Reunion Islands, Lesotho, Atlanta, Georgia, New Zealand, and New Jersey, also in the United States of America. Welcome, 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 welcome. We have for you today speaking none other than the Prime Minister of the State of the African Diaspora. We also have our Vice Prime Minister and second Vice Prime Minister. Our Vice Prime Minister is the Honorable Qr Invoice, and our second VP is Mr. Hugh Johnson. We also have the founder of the Swiffin Platform, Dr. Linus Itube, and we have Black Links also joining us today, and maybe some other speakers to help us to really flesh out what is going to happen here today. And of course, I say the chief, literally the chief for last, because the chief will take us through a real keen understanding as the actual creator of the Lumi. And so welcome to you as we get started. And we get started right now with a beautiful opening, which always comes from none other than the Honorable Dr. Louis George Tin, the Prime Minister of the State of the African Diaspora, SOAD. To you, Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, dear spokesperson of the government. So, dear Vice Prime Ministers, dear Timothy McPherson, dear ambassadors, MPs, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, it's always a pleasure and an honor for me to serve in that capacity. And today we are going to speak about the Lumi and the Pan-African NGOs. I want to pay a tribute to our Pan-African NGOs. In fact, our Pan-African NGOs made history. We need to mention the Quilombos in Brazil, the Palenques in Panama, the Maroons in Jamaica, and everywhere in the Caribbean. It is thanks to them that we are free today. Not totally, but they have done a lot. many sacrifices. They were the first Pan-African NGOs in the diaspora. They made history, and we are here thanks to them. Also in Africa, there were different kinds of organization in the kingdoms or in the regions, in the villages. People were organized. When you learn about history, many things are not taught. For example, you will see everywhere, they will tell you that the victims of the transatlantic slave trade are about 12 to 15 millions. That is fake news. That is only the number of people who were deported from Africa to the Americas or the Indian Ocean. But according to the slave owners themselves, to catch one person alive, you need to kill between 2 and 4 people. So if between 12 and 15 million people were deported, it means that between 24 millions and 60 million people were killed in Africa. It means we have so many heroes in Africa who fight to prevent that thing from happening. All these people were heroes and sung heroes. We need to pay a tribute to these organizations, that was the basic. So the first Maroons were in fact in Africa. These organizations, at the time you wouldn't say NGOs, but in fact, they were the first NGOs. So many died and were killed while they were trying to protect their wives, their husbands, their children, their parents, their families. Some could survive, some escaped, others were killed, and others were taken alive and then deported. All these people made history, and we need to pay a tribute to them. In fact, when you teach official history, most of the time, people tell you about the result, not the process. They will tell you, for example, in France, in 1848, the Great France, abolished slavery. No, in reality, the slaves started to fight. The African free people started to fight already in Africa. That was a war. That was the First World War. And after centuries, of different battles, great battles, they finally had a great victory. So the process is that they fought for their own liberty. The result is that the white people said, okay, well, we have no choice. But of course, they will tell you, oh, we gave freedom to the African people. No, the African people forced you to recognize the truth that everybody is born free and has to remain as such. And it's not only about African people. When I was at school, I learned that governments, gave women the right to vote. In reality, women fought to have the right to vote as well. But they will tell you the government was so beautiful, all these generous men said, okay, let us give a right to vote to women. No, women had to fight to have their right respected. So history is a process, it's not a result. So usually you are taught only about the result, not the process, and the credit is given to official authorities, not to the grassroots organizations, while the official authorities are the very people resisting the progress most of the time. So the credit is sometimes given to the oppressor, and the people who are the true heroes remain unsung. So that's why we need to promote the organization, the grassroots organizations, feminist, Pan-African, etc. That's why we need to support them. If we want change to happen, we need to support them. There is no change without the people, obviously. So it's not only a matter of lobbying on or against the government, it's a matter of empowerment for the people. And this empowerment comes through finances. So that is why we are here today to speak about Pan-African organizations and financing. That's why I wanted to insist on the glorious contribution to these Pan-African organizations to our past, present, and future history. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that was just so grounding for us, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you very much. Just really helps us to understand the value. I'm sure everybody in the room is feeling far more valued after your remarks. Thank you again. You are into now the Pan-African Organizations Lumi Summit. We know that quite a bit of people are just joining us, and we thank you for being here in the room, getting your knowledge on. You are, you may have missed the Prime Minister. We are recording, just so you know, but we do have for you right now, Chief Timothy Samaco, who is the First Crown Vizier of the African Kingdoms Federation. He is the chairman of the ECO6, and he's also the governor of the Central Solar Reserve Bank. He's a very special man, dear to us, besides all of these esteemed accolades and achievements and positions. He is also the creator of the Lumi and very much an educator of us all. Chief Timothy, we welcome you once again to address our summit. And we are always riveted by what you have to say to us in relation to what is happening here with the Lumi. Congratulations yet again, and welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you kindly for the warm introduction. It's always a pleasure to be introduced by you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen,
Sorry, Timothy, your,
Prime Minister, Vice
sorry, Timothy, your camera. Okay, thank you.
And MPs of SOAD, as well as all distinguished guests. I was listening very carefully to the statements and the presentation given by His Excellency, the Prime Minister Tin. And it inspired my mind both positively and unfortunately negatively. Because when things come out to light, all things must come out to light. And in understanding the Lumi and why the Lumi is so important to us in this 21st century, we must also understand that not only did we have those great Pan-Africanists who came before us, but within our own community, we also had those people who were actually against Pan-Africanism. We had those people who were complicit with institutions of colonization. Indeed, across continental Africa, there were those aspiring, well, you know, ultimately the kings and queens came across in shackles and chains. They were amongst the first to be set away. And obviously that implies sabotage by aspiring kingdoms and by aspiring queendoms. And so in this 21st century, we should not imagine that the situation, that the circumstance is any different. And consequently, we should not imagine that the success of the Lumi will be given to us on a silver platter, that there shall be no challenges, no hiccups along the way, that there shall be no battle that must be fought. No, indeed, we must fight for the success of our economic autonomy. As much as they used racism to frame the discourse of slavery, it was always about economics. It was always about having cheap labor to clear the lands of what the Europeans regarded as the New World, but which was indeed no New World to the African family. Cheap labor to work the sugar plantations, cheap labor to work the cotton fields. And every time you hear cheap labor, by cheap we mean utterly free. And so when you have hundreds of years of economic development that has happened for free, then we must always keep this slavery discourse within its economic context, so that when we come to a financial instrument like the Lumi, we fully understand and comprehend the economic legacy of 400 years of captivity, 400 years of monetary suppression and subjugation and manipulation that brought us to where we are today. Because the fact of the matter is, we still have something called a Pan-African movement, which means there are still forces and powers at play which are in opposition to our economic emancipation, to our economic success, to ensuring that the global African family stays at the bottom of the economic value chain, which is what we in this reset seek to turn upside down on its head. In that spirit and on that note, I know there are a few new guests with us this evening, so I would like to take a moment to, of course, introduce the Lumi formally, and then I would like to take a moment thereafter to make a short announcement, which is very important to the Pan-African movement. I utilized the word reset earlier because indeed we are in the midst of a reset. May I share my screen, please?
Yes, Timothy, you should have control.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, in this reset, we utilize the term, and maybe I'll just go on full view mode so that you can see it better. In this reset, we utilize the term the fourth industrial revolution, the reset. But indeed, what is true of this reset is that in the first industrial revolution, in the second industrial revolution, in the third industrial revolution, the only role that the African family played was a role of exploitation. A people who were exploited for their labor capacity, and a motherland that was exploited, robbed, and raped for her seemingly infinite wealth and resources. And so in this fourth industrial revolution, this reset, it's taken on a different flavor, because it's not just about human labor, and it's not just about raw materials and resources, but it is indeed a technical revolution. A technical revolution that is fundamentally changing our society. It is fundamentally changing the way we work, the way we live, the way we interact with one another. It is a global phenomenon. It's not isolated to something called the New World in the Americas. It is not isolated to Europe. It's not isolated to continental Africa, which is why we can talk about the global African family. And this global phenomena is impacting our public sector, the private sector, and civil society. It is not a thing of the future. Unfortunately, many of our political, legislative leaders are talking about the reset as if it's something in the future. And they're certainly not prepared for the reality that we are contending with today. Most of the international community was caught off guard by COVID-19. Most of the international community was caught off guard by climate change and global warming. And indeed, most of the international community has been caught off guard by cryptocurrencies, alternative financial instruments, and needless to say, the Lumi. At the center of our digital revolution, we merge these topics of artificial intelligence, the relation between digital, biological, and physical spheres, with money. And in so talking about money, we talk about the Lumi. There is a race going on. And I've always stated it, and this will sound repetitious to you because we know that the Federal Reserve Bank in the US has made its statements of how they're going to create an American digital US dollar. We know that China has already come out with its digital yuan. We know that every Caribbean nation, every Latin American nation, every European nation is now talking about how to integrate central bank digital currencies into their domestic economies so that they can transact at a global level. This we already know. And for those of you who are familiar with this presentation, you already know that this currency called the Lumi is amongst the most widely distributed currencies in the world today. It is not in position number 2, where the Chinese yuan is located at. It is not in position number 3, where the Swedish krona is located at. It is in position number 1. And I want to pause for a moment to reflect on the image of the Lumi. Because on its face, you see a warrior blowing the abang. On its face, you see a warrior calling his people to order. On its face, you see a warrior telling his people near and far that the time is here and the time is now for economic independence and transformation. Most of you have begun to answer that call. This is demonstrated by the fact that the Lumi currently circulates in 124 countries around the world. It is the official currency for the economic community of the African Diaspora 6 region. It is the official currency for African Kingdoms Federation. It is the official currency for SOAD. It is the official currency for the United Kingdoms of Africa. And it is the future currency that transforms continental Africa and all people of African descent in this future, which already began yesterday and today. For the future is the here and now. In terms of understanding the structure of the Lumi, I've said it many times before, we must appreciate what is meant by fiat money versus non-fiat money. Fiat money, which you all currently have in your pockets, is government-issued currency, a medium of exchange that is not backed by anything, neither gold, nor silver, nor energy. It has absolutely no real intrinsic value. Typical examples of this fiat instrument is the US dollar, the euro, the British pound. In contrast to fiat money, we have our classic money, which is known by its three primary functions. For money always has been and must be a medium of exchange. It always has been and must be a unit of account. It always has been and must be a store of value. That is why our ancestors utilized all kinds of instruments, whether it was gold, whether it was cows, whether it was cowrie shells, bronze, as monetary instruments. Within this digital currency race, we see that going forward, you will all be using digital instruments on your phones. And for those who are using fiat currencies, they will have $1 or €1 or one whatever it is. But if it's a fiat, then it is not a store of value. It is not a unit of account. And consequently, it is only the digit 1 on the phone. It is only the digit 1 in a bank account. It is only the digit 1 on a screen with absolutely no value behind it. In terms of those who turn to stable coins and non-fiat currencies, as we know old money to be, yes, we will have the digit 1 in our account, but we will also know that behind that digit 1, we have a store of value. In the case of Lumi, that store of value will speak to 4 grains of gold and 100 kilowatt hours. So consequently, in the case of Lumi, as a unit of account, we know that we account for gold, we account for energy, we account for monetary prowess. Indeed, in terms of its valuation, 1 Lumi, which interfaces with 100 kilowatt hours, underwritten also with 4 grains of gold, has a market value of $15.96 US, which I always say is very generous to the US dollar because it is a fiat instrument that has no underlying value. Notwithstanding, we will give it that 15.96 value. For those of you who often speak about energy infrastructure, while we are engaging the continent and our cooperation both with the African Central Bank, the African Finance Regulatory Authority, and putting frameworks for large-scale energy infrastructure throughout continental Africa and the diaspora, the Lumi is not intended to replace energy trading. Rather, it uses energy to establish its value as a premium currency, a robust currency, a non-paralleled currency like any other within the global marketplace. That is our Lumi. That is the call on the Abang for economic sovereignty, economic unification, and economic transformation of our people. As a short note before I conclude, as you all know, we made an arrangement some weeks back with the African Finance Regulatory Authority and the African Central Bank. Now, the objective of AFRA, as it begins to ramp up its activities in this year, will be to consolidate the African economy as it relates to the African Continental Free Trade Area and the ability of economic communities throughout AFTA to interact properly with the diaspora. And so, I made the statement that I wasn't going to let the cat out of the bag. But the simple fact of the matter is, I'm not very good at keeping secrets. your Chief Samaco has a big mouth. And when he closes big deals, he has to talk about it. So here's the cat out of the bag, just for your ears only. Going forward in the growth, the evolution, the manifestation of Lumi within the global African family, its birth within a small maroon territory called Accompong, and now its footprint in 124 countries, with recognition from the African Finance Regulatory Authority and the African Central Bank, and recognizing the need to address the needs of the global African family, which cannot simply be done by the Bank of Accompong. Going forward within our maroon territories of Jamaica, we have made a new arrangement with AFRA that there will be an African Diaspora Central Bank established within the maroon territories. And for all intents and purposes, that most likely will be in the land of none other than our ancient mystical warrior, Queen Nanny of the Maroon. And so that will be a bit of a transition process that we will begin transitioning from, the birth of the child or the embryo, as it were, and that embryo coming out into life. So the vision has been manifested in the Central Solar Reserve Bank of Accompong, which then transitions under the leadership of the African Finance Regulatory Authority into the African Diaspora Central Bank, with full integration within the African Central Bank. And hopefully, as I expect it to be, within the most honorable space of Queen Nanny of the Maroons. So in that light, in that spirit, and in that note, this battle continues. The fight for economic emancipation goes forth, and all of you great Pan-Africanists remain at the driver's seat, front and circle thereof. Madasi and blessings to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should open our mics. And really just give a round of applause. That we do have it on record.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Samaco.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Wonderful news. Once again, Chief Samaco, congratulations. Congratulations and thank you for that news. What wonderful information we continue to get. Every week there's something fresh, there's an evolution, and we are making fabulous progress as we continue along. Thank you, both presenters who's starting off our summit today, really giving us grounding information and a great charge as we move forward. So again, if you're just joining us, if you've just joined us, we've already heard from our Prime Minister of SOAD, and we've just heard from Chief Timothy Samaco, who made an amazing announcement about the coming of our Pan-African Central Bank. I hope I got that name right. I know you're gonna fix me up later, Chief Timothy, if I don't, because he will be back with us and he will be around for some Q&A a little later on. So let's just hurry along, but congratulations to us and great news once again, as we welcome now for a demonstration of his platform, another wonderful mind, an ingenious mind among us, Dr. Linus Itube, who is the founder of Swiffin, the CEO of Swiffin, and he will demonstrate for us not just that we have the Lumi available to us, but actually how we get it. Dr. Linus, welcome. Oh, he's gone all funky on us now. He's got a new background. Way to go.
Thank you, dear.
The big Swiffin icon. Okay.
On mute. Okay, super. Thank you very much. Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished members of the audience, it's always a great pleasure to be here. And this event organized by SOAD has become something that I always look forward to in the weekly calendar. And thank you so much for putting this together and creating the opportunities for us to talk about what is clearly a very quiet but certain revolution that is intended to empower people economically the world over, so that together we can change the narrative and begin the process of putting a stop to years and years of poverty, exclusion, and unemployment amongst our youth across continental Africa and the African diaspora. It is indeed a quiet revolution, and it is so strong that every time we talk about it, by the time Chief Samaco comes and says it's 124 countries, I would check and it's 128. The number just keeps creeping up every week. That is how strong this quiet revolution is. I'm not going to steal the thunder from VPM Hugh Johnson in terms of what is going on in Jamaica. I would leave that for him to talk about later on. But it is such a quiet revolution that is just simply amazing. Now, I am going to take the opportunity to play a few video clips. I know I always play these video clips, and forgive me if I play them every time. But let me play one, and then after that, I would give a quick presentation where I share my screen and talk about a few things about financial inclusion and the transaction economy, and why that's so important, and why the Lumi and the ability to transact in real time is so important in enabling us to use that as the tools in modern day to begin really fighting poverty and exclusion firmly. So if you'd allow me, I'll share my screen and I'll play one or two video clips. The first one is going to be on financial inclusion, and I'm just going to share my screen. According to bank data, there are over 1.7 billion people unbanked worldwide. In some countries within continental Africa, over 80% are unbanked. This means vast numbers of the 1.3 billion people across the continent are not able to effectively participate in the real economy. The result is poverty and misery of millions. Businesses and individuals are now faced with the biggest wealth creation opportunity the African continent has ever seen, through the introduction of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCFTA. Given the challenges of financial inclusion across the continent, there is an unprecedented opportunity to use innovative technology which brings together individuals, communities, financial institutions, and businesses into a real-time transaction ecosystem. We must operationalize the AfCFTA to unlock the opportunities that the AfCFTA brings. We must ensure access to all, and we must address the more than 40 or so different local currencies across the continent which remain a huge impediment to trade. Welcome to the Swiffin Platform and the Eco6 Lumi. The future is now. Okay. Now, the combination of the Lumi and the use of an open transaction exchange like the Swiffin Platform offers tremendous opportunities that are unprecedented, that we haven't seen for a long time. We have all heard stories about the Lumi and its importance, its design, the ingenuity, the fact that it's backed by 100 kilowatt hours of energy and 4 grains of gold. Now, the Swiffin Platform provides an opportunity for that to be distributed directly to households the world over. And that has some very important implications. The primary one is that it provides an opportunity to distribute this in such a way that people can actually use it, or use the Lumi using the devices that they have. It's available online, so you can log into your account online, you can check your balances, you can transact and pay businesses and business collaborators. There is the mobile app that's available. There is an SMS channel that we often do not talk about, but the SMS channel is so ubiquitous and so accessible that it will work on any mobile phone connected to any mobile network anywhere in the world. And with one SMS, you can execute a financial transaction, check a balance, make a payment, or authorize a payment request. There is a QR code that you can simply scan when you visit your local financial institution to deposit money and to withdraw funds from your account, or make payments at merchant outlets. There are electronic vouchers, which are so easily accessible that even those who do not have an account on the exchange can use them. And they can use it to pay for goods, get their change in another voucher in order to walk away with their shopping bag and the balance in the form of an electronic voucher they can use again during their next shopping trip. It provides the capability to manage agency outlets. And all this is designed to create an ecosystem that is both accessible and inclusive, so that we can look at including the 80% of people in some continental African countries that today remain unbanked, so that we can change the way that businesses particularly trade and exchange value. As we speak, if you are sitting in Nigeria or South Africa or Ghana and you need to make a payment to any other African country, it is still a challenge. One of the only solutions that is available today in the market that can be executed in real time is a payment on the Lumi, on the Swiffin Platform. And it provides the opportunity for you to specify the amount you're paying for your invoice in any local currency in the world. That means with your Lumi wallet, you can go to Nigeria and pay your local meal in a local restaurant in Nigerian Naira by specifying the local amount in Nigerian Naira. You can do the same in Ghana CDs when you go to Ghana, South African Rand when you go to South Africa, Ugandan shillings when you go to Uganda, Nigerian, and so forth, Zambian kwacha when you are in Zambia. It is probably the only instrument today in the market that combined can provide the opportunity for us to actually operationalize the Africa Free Trade Area, which represents the biggest wealth creation opportunity that the continent has ever seen for continental Africa and the African diaspora. For the first time, it is possible for somebody to sit in South Africa or Nigeria and exchange value in real time with somebody sitting in a Kompong or Jamaica or any of the Caribbean islands. Now, I know we talk about this, and it's not very often that we actually show people how that works and what we mean by that. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and I'm going to do a quick demo so that people can begin to experience what this is like and how businesses particularly can use it today to start transforming the way they do business globally. So I'm going to stop this for a moment, and I'll show the app on my screen. And then we will do just very quickly a few transactions. Okay, so I have logged into my app online. For some of you, people who haven't accessed or haven't created the account yet, go ahead and create one. And when you log in, you'll be welcomed by this dashboard. Once the account is activated, you should be able to make a payment at the click of a button by simply clicking Pay User. And if I wanted to send that payment, anybody on the audience can give me their telephone number that's registered with any Swiffin account, and I can do the transaction with that. Any volunteers?
Yes, I'd like to volunteer.
Okay, what's the number?
7876.
The country code first, please.
876.
Is that +1?
Yes, if we put 1. 799.
799.
0615.
0615.
Yeah.
Now, if that is correct, the name will pop up. And that's Datisha Zedi May McLeod. Okay, I'm going to send half a Lumi, 0.5. If I wanted to actually make that payment so that I specify the amount in Jamaican dollars, why don't we try that? So let's send 1,000 Jamaican dollars. I hope I have enough to do that. And then we'll select Jamaican dollars. Now, bear with me. If that's not enough, because as you can see, I only have 79 Lumi in that account. When I click next, you can schedule the payment so that it takes place in the future, or you can do it, make the payment now. But let's make the payment now. The system will work out how much I need to pay, and great, I have enough. The amount I need to pay is this AKL amount to pay, which is 0.45744. System will take the 1,000 in Jamaican dollars and then calculate the amount I need to transfer over in Lumi, and that is it. Now, I can do this for Nigerian Naira. I can literally do this for any currency anywhere in the world. What that means is that we can now keep our money in gold and be able to make payments in relation to any fiat currency where the invoice is specified in any fiat currency around the world. And that's the price of gold appreciates over time. We lose no value, but we can still make our payments whenever we want at any time. And it is in real time all over the world. So when you're ready, you click confirm, and really that is it. That transaction is complete. The funds would be in Datisha's account. Datisha, have you got it?
I'm checking.
Okay. And I don't have enough in my account to do more transactions. So I'm going to request either Brother Saviors or Chief Samaco or any other volunteers that wants to put money into this account so that we can show how that can be done. Now, each account has a QR code attached to it. So if you click on personal, you see QR code that can be displayed. You can print this, put it on your key ring, and that becomes your payment card. It's instant. Brother Saviors, if you're online, or Brother Mbi,
yeah.
I'm
online. But if it's a huge amount, let Chief do it. But if it's a small amount, I will do it.
No, the amount is really up to you. You can put whatever amount you want to put. So just
okay.
QR code, enter the amount you want to pay. So you click on Pay User, scan QR code, scan the QR code, and pay the amount. Ladies and gentlemen, okay. This shows you how you can collect payments remotely, wherever you are. I'm sitting in London, but the Saviors is in South Africa. We can do this transaction with anyone, anywhere in the world. And that's how powerful the Lumi is when used, particularly on the Swiffin platform, which is a real-time exchange that brings together individuals, financial institutions, businesses, government agencies into one transaction ecosystem so that we can change the way that people access financial services for everyone.
I've made the payment.
Super. So if you have made it, I can go to banking, I can look at my account, and there you go. I received 1 Lumi. Now, if I wanted to receive a little bit more or specify the amount, what I could do is simply create, I can create a QR invoice, okay? I can also come here and say create QR payment if I'm doing this on the app. So I'll put 5 Lumi this time. Brother Savios, it's you again.
Okay.
Okay. Now, notice the difference between what we did before. I displayed my QR code and he could pay whatever amount he wished to pay. Imagine what that would do if you are a charity and you are collecting donations from people voluntarily. There you go. I've collected £5 precisely.
5 Lumi.
Sorry, 5 Lumi. My apologies. 5 Lumi. So that is the payment. Okay. And if I want to send that payment to somebody else on the app, let me log into the app. The same kind of experience, seamless, but in real time. So I can click on make payment, and then I can click on find user. This time, I don't need to know the telephone number. I just need to know the name of the person the payment is going to. Any volunteers in the audience?
Yes, John Mubanga from Zambia.
John?
Mubanga.
Okay, let's look for Mubanga. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, you click on find, and hopefully John will come up. John Mubanga, this is
John Mubanga. Yes, that one.
All right, we're making the payment in Lumi, and I'm going to send one Lumi. The reason I'm only sending one because I want to make a few more payments to other people. So I've entered the amount. I simply click next. I confirm the transaction by entering my authentication. Of course, if this is on your mobile phone, you can use your thumbprint or fingerprint. And once that transaction is confirmed, it's done. Okay. Now, John Mubanga can use it immediately to make payments for supplies. Imagine if that was a business. He runs a restaurant and he has to buy bread. He makes sandwiches. A customer walks in, makes a payment for a sandwich, and he needs to place an order for more bread so he can serve other customers. He can do that within seconds. Now, if you use a traditional model of Visa and MasterCard, you'll have to wait 2 or 3 days to get that money. It means capital is not actually moving across or being turned over fast enough to support merchants. Your money gets locked up. We want to change that. And we have an opportunity for the first time, I would say for the first time ever, that we have our own currency and we have the infrastructure through which that can be distributed into every household. Not just distributed like the traditional way of doing it, but in a truly revolutionary way that is different, but that places us in a leadership position. This is why this is a quiet revolution, because in it, there is something for everybody. And together, collectively, we can reach millions of people and we can transform lives in our time. One way to make this reach every corner of the earth is for all of us to come on board and for all of us to decisively use the Lumi as our de facto financial instrument to trade with one another and the rest of the world. When we do that in one collective voice, we can change the narrative for Africa overnight. By this time next year, the story and the amount of wealth that would have been created for many would be very different from what we have now. That's the power of the reset. thanks to the ingenuity of the design of the Lumi and the fact that we now have an infrastructure through which we can circulate the Lumi in real time. Now, if you just imagine that there is something called SWIFT, where financial institutions around the world are members of, and it takes 2 or 3 days for a SWIFT transaction to go from one financial institution to another. Replace that with this, and you realize that not only financial institutions can be part of this, but every individual, every government agency, including central banks. And we can begin to change the narrative. That is very powerful. So I'm going to stop there. That is the demo. And I thought we go through this exercise. Seeing is believing. We had a conversation this morning with Stanbic, and they asked, oh, what are you showing us? Is it something you're planning to do? And our response was, no, we don't show people things that we have in our pipeline as things to do. We show you what is possible now, so that when you finish the meeting and you want to come on board, you can start transacting immediately. Now, how do you sign up? Let me play a quick video on how you create your account. And then I will go through 1 or 2 slides to talk about the transaction economy and why it is so important that by engaging and by coming on board and making sure that we make this work for everybody, we can actually reshape the way that financial services and even central banks can actually execute monetary policy within nations to drive money flow within economies and change economic activity and economic growth. This is profound. So quick short pause and another video. This time, how to register. One of the greatest challenges that we find right now is that when people are asked to provide a picture of the front of their ID, the picture is either not clear enough and the information on it is not readable, and therefore the account gets rejected when it is reviewed. When an account gets rejected, the opportunity is given to the person who is registering the business or the individual account to update the information, provide clearer pictures of their IDs, for example, so that the account can be reviewed again. And at that point, it is really their responsibility to contact the support team so that their account can be reviewed again. That can take some time. In some cases, it could take 2 weeks or more for that account to be reviewed again, because the demand is so high that every day we are seeing in excess of 800 to 1,000 new account requests. And the team to handle the activation process is growing by the day. Just 2 weeks ago, we onboarded about another 10 people from in Jamaica to help with the support team so that we can address the questions that people have. All I can urge everyone to do is that when you are requesting to create your account, please read the instructions very carefully. Provide the information that is required. Your account will be checked, and it will either be activated if the information provided is correct, or it will be rejected and you will be given the opportunity to correct the information. You will be surprised, but some people just want to try. And they go in and they want to create an account and they just put dummy pictures of whatever they can find. Those accounts get rejected eventually. What I can say is that every account goes into a pending state. When an account is in the pending state, everybody gets the benefit of the doubt. When the next stimulus payment is made, they will receive it. But once it is reviewed and rejected, they would have the opportunity to update the information for the account to be reactivated again. But they no longer have the opportunity to receive the subsequent stimulus payments until the account is verified again and activated. So please, let's all do our bit in helping this quiet revolution along. Let's provide the information that is required in the best possible way that we can, so that together we can reach millions of people and really change lives, so that we can help the support team that is working very hard and tirelessly in the background to make this happen, and to ensure that everybody who requests and asks for an account can actually get one, so that those 80% of people that have never been part of any form of financial or economic inclusion can now be part. And together we can begin to transform our economies. In the past, it's been requested that in terms of specifying a referral ID, if somebody sends an invitation link, why can't the ID be captured automatically so that the account can be automatically assigned to the referrer? I can confirm that we have now done this. This is active, effective this morning. So when you invite somebody now and they join, their account is automatically linked to yours. And where commission revenues are distributed, and because this is a communal thing, a quiet revolution that is intended to benefit everybody, commissions are paid when transactions are done to those who introduce others onto the platform, particularly agents and merchants and the financial institutions that we work with, who work very hard to drive access and ensure that people are getting the face-to-face experience when needed in every country. If Brother Mbi is on the line, I would like him to perhaps make a comment or two after this video in terms of how we are working with financial institutions on the ground to make this work.
I'm not sure how to answer that.
So really, together we can reach and change millions of lives. And it's such a collaborative engagement on a massive scale that there's so many organizations that are working quietly in the background to make this work. It's not about the Swiffin platform at all. It's not about the Lumi at all. It's about a collaborative engagement and a quiet revolution that involves households across the globe, that involves every business, your employees, and everybody, that together there is a financial instrument we can use, a platform we can exchange value on, but without each and every one of us participating and taking advantage of that opportunity to reach out and transform lives, this will be as good as an idea. And in the words of VPM Johnson, the chain will not stop where I stand. And that's how important the engagement of every one of us is in making this work and in ensuring that we achieve the objectives of true inclusion and economic emancipation for everyone. So I'm going to stop there on that video. Brother Mb, are you online? Or if you're not, that's okay. But are you there? Or maybe Brother Servios, do you want to make a quick statement on what's happening, the collaborations, how we're working with other organizations to make this work?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. I just want to let you know that every time when I'm asked, where do I use my Lumi? The first thing I tell people is that you need to think of what you can do to make use of that Lumi, in terms of look around you and see what you can sell to others so that they can buy it in Lumi. If you go to the marketplace, I have a few things, electrical things that I'm not using, that I've placed on the marketplace that I'm selling in Lumi. So if we all have that kind of attitude, it means we can start trading amongst ourselves. Even if you are a vegetable vendor, or you sell groceries, or just a few items that you do not need around your home, sell them in Lumi, and we start the trading. Here in South Africa, we have what we call spaza shops. Just now, just before the meeting, I onboarded a chain that seeks to bankroll mobile shops, mobile spaza shops in South Africa, and they will be selling in Lumi. So that's the kind of attitude that we are seeking for us to be able to promote the Lumi. Thank you. I don't know if Brother Mb is around. He can continue.
Okay, now maybe he's not, but very quickly, I'm going to go through the credit line. But before I go through the credit line, I'm going to go through one or two slides, just very quickly. I'm conscious of time, of course. We are in a transaction economy where you have buyers and sellers. I think I'm not, let me share my screen again. Okay, and on the one hand, the buyer's spending is the seller's income. And so in order to grow the economy, we really need to be thinking of how we can increase money supply within the economy. And that is either done in the form of the money people use to buy or spend in the economy is either money they have or money they have saved or money they have earned or credit. And so in order to increase the economic activity, we need to increase money supply so that people have more money at their disposal to spend on goods and services. And so as we spend, those who are selling goods and services can have their income increase over time. So that is a transaction economy. And in fact, it becomes so critically important that we're able to move the money around quickly in real time, as fast as possible. A cash economy will not do the trick. A cash economy where you can only trade with your neighbor because you can hand over the cash will not allow any business to scale beyond their immediate neighborhood, because we now need to be able to sell not just to our neighbors, but to everyone in our country and to everyone across continental Africa in order to leverage on the opportunity that the African continental free trade really brings. We need to be able to trade with the African diaspora, and we need to do that in real time. So that's why the Lumi is so important. And that's why the ecosystem that enables us to transact in real time is so important. I have already demonstrated how you can use your Lumi and you can address, we have managed to address the multiple currency issue as well, because you can now specify the amount that you're paying in Nigerian Naira, Franc CFA, South African Rand, Zambian Kwacha, and still be able to execute that transaction in real time. Through this kind of ecosystem, there is an AKL swap rate that can be implemented very quickly, and central banks, like the African Central Bank, for example, can now begin to use a different kind of instrument in order to drive money supply within the economy, such as the transaction rate instrument. The transaction rate is possible because for the first time, we are able to deliver the money directly into every household. So if we want to increase money supply within the economy, a stimulus payment just does the trick. If you want to reduce supply, you can introduce a transaction rate which imposes a charge when people begin to transact or exchange value with one another. And that way we can drive and control money flow within the economy to continue to drive the economic growth prospects. The interest rate instrument that has been used widely around the world is something that will never work in an economy where you have 80% of people unbanked, because there isn't any transmission mechanism for that interest rate to take effect. Unfortunately, some central banks, if not all, across continental Africa, rely on the interest rate, and they would move the interest rate in much the same way that interest rates are moved in developed markets. But if you are dealing with a market where, there isn't a deep financial market where a lot of assets are priced and linked to the interest rate, then the transmission mechanism becomes very ineffective. And how can we expect it to be effective within continental Africa, where in some countries only 20% of people are banked? We need to change that. We need to use different types of tools to actually effect monetary policy. And that can be done within the central bank. So the collaboration with the African Central Bank through the African Finance Regulatory Authority presents different types of opportunities for Africa to leapfrog the way that monetary policy can be executed within continental Africa to drive economic growth across every single country, so that we can change that narrative, so that we can grow our economies, reduce poverty, support businesses, and ensure that we can create the right environment for sustainable economic growth. On that note, there is a credit line that is intended for businesses. Now I'm going to play another video clip, yet another video clip, but I promise that is the last for today, on how you can access your stimulus. This is particularly for businesses. This kind of stimulus payment is not open to individuals. I think if you have an agent account, you can access it. If you have a business account, you can access it. But it's not currently available to individuals. Individuals receive the 6.26 Lumi, but this is intended to support businesses so that they can finance their business ideas and begin to create employment opportunities across the economies within continental Africa and the African diaspora. We must use technology to deliver access to digital financial services differently and support businesses to fight poverty, fight unemployment, and fight exclusion.
You're not
from
sharing your
financial
screen, sir.
services. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen to access the Lumi credit line. Just hold on a second.
No, I could see it.
You could
We can see the screen. It was
Yeah, I
being
was
shared
seeing the
before.
screen. Mhm.
We're seeing the screen.
Yeah, I could see your screen.
You could see, okay, just forgive me, let me just try again. Then click on Payment to Self and select AKL credit. Enter the amount. Apologies. Upload any support. Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Okay,
visible.
let me play that again.
Yes.
Yes, can see it.
We must use technology. We must use technology to deliver access to digital financial services differently and support businesses to fight poverty, fight unemployment, and fight exclusion from financial services. To access the Lumi credit line direct from the Central Solar Reserve Bank now, get online. You can register now if you do not already have an account. Click on Banking.
It stopped.
Then click on Payment to Self and select AKL credit. Enter the amount. Upload any supporting documents and describe the use of funds. Read and confirm agreement to the terms of use of the credit line. That's it. You can check the transaction details and see that the funds are available in your account and ready to use to drive your business goals. Together, we can improve financial inclusion globally. Together, we can reach millions. We can fight poverty, unemployment, and unequal access. We can change millions of lives in our time. Thank you, and that's it from me. Thank you very much. Back to you, Deandra.
Thank you very much for that demonstration. I know that we always get a good sound understanding. My apologies. I know we always get a good sound understanding of what we need to do in order to access. And I love that you always toss in there how powerful accessing and setting up our Lumi wallet can actually be to the transactions we need to get done as we move our organizations along. And speaking of moving along, we're going to go now to a very hardworking lady, a lady who we are so very proud of in the state of the African diaspora. None other than our Vice Prime Minister. We're talking about the Honorable Qr, Her Excellency Qr Amoakan, who is also our minister responsible for driving restitution, reparations, repatriation, and restoration. So who better than to talk about why SOAD has adopted the Lumi as its official currency. Welcome to you, Honorable VPM. If you are speaking, we're not hearing you at this point. I don't know if you're having some technical.
She's muted.
She's muted.
Sorry, thank you very much. Yes, I do have problem with sound. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you very, very much. I'd just like to thank our Prime Minister and of course Chief Samaco and of course Dr. Linus, and welcome to all of the SOAD government, our distinguished dignitaries and guests and honorable Pan-African organizations and all our wonderful supporters from around the world. I would like to again honor the Pan-African organizations, myself coming from a grassroots background in terms of Pan-African activity. And I know the Prime Minister delivered a wonderful comments and narrative about Pan-African organizations, and so did Chief Timothy. And I'm glad that there's many more that have joined us because they've literally taken the words of my presentation. So I'm going to repeat it for those who have just joined us, and thank you all for attending. So these summits is the call of the Abeng, as our brother Chief Timothy Samaco had explained, it's a clarion call for all of the Africans in the diaspora and the Africans on the continent to wake up, sit up and pay attention. As has been said, this is the wake up call globally for us right now, and there is no other. It is a call for understanding and overstanding of a global reset. Our reset commenced on 22nd September 2020, and we are in the beginning stages of the energetic frequencies of that action, and it's in its unfolding. It is a call for all Africans to mobilize, centralize, and galvanize. Centralize globally via technology, centralize mentally in charting our own collective destiny on our terms, centralizing and galvanizing our wealth, and spiritually to bring into existence the world we desire to live in, and our children to grow in and to develop what we have commenced into something much, much greater. The time is here and the time is now. This clarion call is the call we have all been waiting for. We must now come forth from the north, the south, the east, and the west, and run to build our utopia together. These summits are the entry points towards that utopia of social and economic independence and interdependence with each other. In this race, there is no you, there is no I, there is no me. There is only us, and there is only we. So let us not waste any time. This is a call for concentrated collective participation through action, and we are here as the economic community of the 6th region and as the state of the African diaspora to facilitate and welcome all who have come to answer this call. Welcome. If I just made share my screen. Are you seeing my screen, please? Could you just confirm if you're seeing my screen?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
see.
Katal.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we can see your screen clearly.
Yes, I
Thank you
can
very
see your
much.
screen.
Thank you. Pan-Africanism can be said to have its origins, struggles of the African people against enslavement and colonization. And this struggle may be traced back to the first resistance on the slave ships, rebellions and suicides, through the constant plantation and colonial uprisings and the Back to Africa movements of the 19th century. Based on the belief that unity is vital to economic, social, and political progress, and aims to unify and uplift people of African descent. At its core, Pan-Africanism is a notion that African people, both on the continent and in the diaspora, share not merely a common history, but a common destiny. Pan-Africanist intellectual, cultural, and political movements tend to view all Africans and descendants of Africans as belonging to a single race and sharing cultural unity. Pan-Africanism posits a sense of a shared historical fate for Africans in the Americas, Caribbean, Europe, and on the continent itself, centered on the Atlantic trade in slaves, African Arab slave trade, and European imperialism, and other recent forms of neocolonialism. Pan-Africanism stresses the need for collective self-reliance. Pan-Africanism exists as a governmental and grassroots objective. Pan-African advocates include leaders such as Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Julius Nyerere, Ahmed Sekou Touré, Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, and many others, academics such as W.E.B. Du Bois, Antonin Firmin, and others in the diaspora. Pan-Africanists believe that solidarity will enable the continent to fulfill its potential to independently provide for all its people. Crucially, an all-African alliance would empower African people globally. Pan-African organizations, therefore, are the news bringers and the news bearers of what is happening in the community and what is going on. They are the facilitators of action and reaction, and are the essential network and glue that keeps the community connected, informed, and updated on concerns and celebrations that affect the community. They work diligently and tirelessly organizing and sacrificing their time with little or no recognition for their efforts and reaping no benefits for their service to the local and wider community. Therefore, the economic community of the 6th region wish to rectify this. So just to give you the information and outline of what the economic community is. Sorry, let me just get rid of this. The economic community of states, nations, territories, and realms of the African diaspora's 6th region is a collection of states, nations, territories, etc. in the diaspora who have signed into a treaty to form an economic bloc or an economic community known as ECO6. This economic community is also known as an intergovernmental organization or an IGO. ECO6, the economic community, is akin to the 5 regional economic communities of the African Union, namely ECOWAS, EAC, SEC, SENSAD, and the AMU. ECO6 sets out to be the foremost trading partner in the diaspora, with the other 5 regional economic communities on the continent, making the African diaspora and the African continent, with the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Area, to be the #1 and biggest economic and social trading bloc in the world. Could somebody just mute their mic, please? Thank you. So just if you can see my screen a little better, you'll see at the top, just giving you the structure of how the economic community is built. At the top, you have the African Union, of course, and then under the African Union, on the right-hand side on my screen, or probably the left on yours, but on the right-hand side is the 6 regional economic communities, which is the North African community, East African community, South African community, West African community, which most people know as ECOWAS, Central African community, and of course, the 6th region is the African diaspora in the diaspora. So we have the economic community of states, nations, territories, and realms. And these come under certain headings of states, which is the Federal Republic of Brazil as examples, Republic of Guyana, Republic of Haiti, Republic of Suriname as states. Governments, of course, the state of the African diaspora is a treaty member state. Government of the Bahamas, government of Grenada, Guadeloupe, Jamaica, Martinique, they are all invited to participate as being in the economic community. We've got the African territories and realms, such as the Quilombos of Brazil, the Palenques of Colombia, and of course, the sovereign nation of the Maroons in Jamaica. We have Pan-African nations of the diaspora, such as the Nation of Islam, the Nation of Israel, who are welcome to come on board as the economic community. And of course, our Pan-African organizations, our civil society, NGOs, CSOs, small, medium, and large organizations who will make up the economic community, the ECOSOC, or the Civil Society Council. And so to identify ourselves as being a member of the economic community of the 6th region, we are issuing the ID card, and that distinguishes that you are a part of this global Pan-African movement, unified under this global currency. Your ID card is linked to your Swiffin bank account, And as a welcome bonus of being a citizen of the 6th region and of the state of the African diaspora, you will receive a SOAD Lumi bonus for joining us. You'll also have discounts through our new Lumi marketplace that will soon be launched. You'll get discounts through Black Links Global, and many others will be offering our citizens many offers and many discounts and many benefits. Our citizens will have preferential treatment and preference offerings of the SOAD business initiatives. And of course, our African kingdoms that we have partnered with, we have signed agreements and cooperations where our citizens can actually be members or repatriate to African kingdoms and be integrated back into their kingdoms. And much, much more will be on offer. So the stimulus program is open to all Pan-African organizations and NGOs, just as it's open to businesses. And for this summit here today, I wanted to make a very special announcement. And I would like to announce the first Pan-African stimulus issuance to one of our great Pan-African organizations. Many of you may not have heard, and many of you have heard of our wonderful Dr. Hemet Malana, the founder of Ministry of the Future, who has been championing in Ghana the citizenship for the African diaspora for the past since 2016 until up until this point, and still facilitating and being the conduit between the government and the African diaspora in granting, getting citizenship, Ghanaian citizenship for the people on the ground. I don't know whether Dr. Malana has actually joined us today. I know he's a very, very busy man. Dr. Malana, are you with us? So if Dr. Malana is not able to be with us, I'm wondering if Millie, who is our ambassador on the ground in Ghana, Millie, are you with us? Is Millie with us at all? Okay, well, if neither of them are here to receive our stimulus, I'm going to wait till next week. I'm not going to announce what stimulus we are going to present to Dr. Malana. I hope you can all tune in, not next week, but the week after for the Pan-African Summit, so that he will be here, or a representative of Ministry of the Future can actually be the first recipient of their Lumi stimulus to promote and champion the use of the Lumi through the Pan-African organizations and Ghana society in general in Ghana. So I will hold on to that. I hope I didn't spoil anything for everybody, but he certainly needs to be here to receive this invitation and gift from the economic community, and actually to participate as the first Pan-African organization in ECO6, and to chart the way for us now to be collectively connected economically through the Lumi's usage across the world. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What a wonderful education, a wonderful announcement, and we can see that flesh out a bit more, Honorable Couture, once we have our recipients join us in a week or in another 2 weeks from now. Thank you very much. Very, very enlightening. All of what we learned today leads us toward a really great place, including hearing more about how the Lumi is actually working to change lives, to link peoples. And we're going to go now to none other than our very own Theo Chambers. Will Mr. Chambers still be speaking for us today?
No, not today. Thank
no,
you.
Okay.
No.
All right. So we will just move along to Black Links Global, a significant partner as we move across the world with our Lumi. Where did you say we were, Dr. Linus? I think 126 nations now. And so we'd like to welcome Pastor Audi Cummings to give us a presentation from Black Links Global. Welcome.
Hello, greetings. And I just want to thank all of those speakers who have gone on before, and DeAndre Hamilton in terms of the introduction, and all of the wonderful qualitative content that we have received. And as Black Links Global Ambassador, I just wanted to touch on our relationship with the state of the African diaspora, and how we will be working with the Black Links Network members in terms of our directory and profile of businesses, and the incentive that the Lumi will enable actual businesses to have. And as we are at a period where we are indeed witnessing African in the first time, we as an people have what we are now in terms of medium exchange. And we can stop the hemorrhage of the actual currency being only for 5 and 6 hours remaining in our communities, and that our community is able to retain because of the strengthening and the increasing of businesses. And community and culture drive us. And so in order to drive us, it is the aspiration and the entrepreneurs of our people that are able to do this. And through all of what we have experienced in terms of the conference and the incentives of what it is to be a Pan-African and a person who is going to get signed up with the Lumi, it's going to take action. And it takes action to bring action. And loads of people doing a little absolutely makes a lot. And the prospect of the 80% unbanked, as Dr. Linus has expounded, means that the potential is tremendous, not just within the continent of Africa and different diverse countries, but also external countries that are in the UK, US, Canada, and far further are communities of our African heritage, showing the potential of the market. And the marketplace is where the actual consumer meets the deliverer with the currency of the Lumi. No longer will we now not have our own actual medium of exchange, but with regards to our chief Samaco, the head of the reserve, with a backed currency by solar energy, where all of the other fiats are not able to even compete. And this means that we are empowered, and we are therefore no excuses as to what can be achieved in the sick economic equity that is what we are able to be a part of. And so with regards to what Dr. stated in regards to those 20% that are participating, but the prospect of now the unbanked 80% through the courses that are available, I help with regards to the platform that you are able to sign for, so that you can be in receipt of a free stimulus of $100 of Lumi every single month, coming on for 3 years, which started last year, October the 1st. So it's very much a now situation. We no longer have to look with a telescopic vision into the future when this is going to happen, but it's happening now. And there are 3 types of people: those that watch things happen, those that make things happen, and those who wonder what the heavens has happened. And I wouldn't want any of us to be an unbanked wonder what the heavens has happened, but we ought to be able to make sure we pick up the baton of the Lumi and hit the ground running. However gargantuan the opportunities of business or microscopic, it means that the collectivist individuals coming together, contributing, means that we are an economic force to be reckoned with. What this means in terms of the globe is that 350 million of us make up the block of people of African heritage that makes us the second biggest global bloc on the entire planet. Today is the day that you are able to say that you are able to make it happen. And so it is that we are empowered to be able to utilize our own currency in the marketplace, where we are able to meet the transactions with favorable arrangements, and also for businesses. Being a member of the Black Links Global, you'll be able to be incentivized, as Dr. Linus has stated, with the technology of the platform, recording your position and your introduction of your new business that you have recommended. And the previous speaker before saying wherever he's going, he's mentioning the Lumi. For the word of God says that the word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. And I do believe light starts with the luminous light. We have an opportunity to economically lighten in view of the vision and the goals that we aspire to achieve. And so it is the dream without a date on it. And so the challenge and the goal that is front of us to people do what we need to be empowered to do. And this is what makes our dream come true. And so the action of Black Links Global and the Foundation Vision globally as the biggest Black directory on the planet, we intend to go forward, give the tool of commerce to those who know and have a motivation, aspiration to determination of their futures through this vehicle and economic exchange. I just want you to be very encouraged, and as one spark said to another, let's make this dream absolutely like a bonfire, be sufficient that the heat of our actual activity is going to create an ignition that is going to light this world. And so this is the opportunity that we have. And we're not in a situation of being a victim, but we now have moved over to being an economic victor. So let us expression that victory economically with the opportunity and the tools that are able us to push ourselves so that we are able to be recognized and respected accordingly. Marcus Messiah Garvey had laid the foundation at the beginning of the 1900s. And we also saw his vision concerning wherever he looked, and that was in the world, that we, the Black people, were at the bottom. No longer is that the case. Through what we have here, Black Links Global, with the handshaking relationship of Lumi and the state of African diaspora, this is now a dream that is aspiring coming true. Walter Rodney talked about neo-colonialism, the situation whereby we would receive a form of independence politically, but not have the economic independence, and many of the nations be indebted as because of this neo-colonialism. And today, the Lumi is that answer. It's a way in which we can right the wrong. It's a way in which we can reins of our circumstances. We are able to be in control to our action. And so it is that it brings me to a scripture that is really appropriate. And it says in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 10 to 14, I will be found by you, and I will bring you back from your captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places where I have driven you, and I will bring you to the place from which I caused you to be carried away captive. And Jeremiah exalts God today. I believe it's explicitly speaking to both you and to me and each and every one that has the vision and that is economic captivity being released. So let it happen. Let us be a part of that transition and that mission for a transformational nation of African and African diaspora working in concert and rhythm that is transforming and fulfilling history. Today is that day. Us, our way. And just like to thank Jan Hamilton as I hand back the controls of me moderating. And thank you for your time and look forward to watching you make that difference. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much to you, Pastor Audi Cummings, Black Links Global, a key partner and always a great motivation at this stage in our summits, always joining us, and we're very appreciative of you, sir. Thank you so much. We're going to move right on now to our second Vice Prime Minister of the State of the African Diaspora. Not only is he busy trying to meet an ambitious goal of setting up our very own agriculture commodities exchange, but he is also vigorously driving the Lumi through Jamaica. And we want to welcome at this point the Honorable Hugh Johnson.
Thank you, Deandra. May I say a big welcome to our Prime Minister Tin, Chief Timothy, all our ministers, members of Parliament, ambassadors and well-wishers, members of this awesome team. I want to give special thanks to our Vice Prime Minister Ketura for organizing this a wonderful event for us to understand more about the Lumi. I must first begin by thanking the Creator for giving Chief Timothy the wisdom, the creativity to create this vehicle that we are promoting now, the Lumi. Our forefathers, Marcus Garvey, and many other forerunners of this cause have started this journey. It is a relay. We are here to carry on our leg of the relay. And in so doing, with all the organizational capabilities of the State of the African Diaspora, with all the great invention, creativity of Chief Samaco, if we do not enable ourselves to do trade among ourselves with this currency, it will be in vain. And you and I, we are here in this house at such a time as this to let that happen. And it has been often said, if you don't have a ticket, you don't have a chance. What is your ticket? Your ticket is to be registered on that Swiffin platform to be able to do trading among ourselves. So registration, registration, registration is the hallmark. There are fear among some, but the only thing we should be afraid of is fear itself. We have nothing to be afraid of. The time has come for us to take charge of our own destiny. We have a legacy to protect. We have our family and generations to come to leave that legacy for. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And we all say, an opportunity of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of that opportunity. And that time is now. How will we be able to reduce poverty? How will we be able to reduce unemployment? How will we be able to banish inclusivity and be a part of that inclusive bond? Dr. Linus has articulated well. Chief Timothy has said out more than a mouthful. PM has outlined the path. The baton is in each and every one of us hands to run our leg, that when we pass it on, we are in an advantageous position. We here in Jamaica, we are not taking things for granted. We have established a magnificent team that is on the ground as we speak, going through communities, going through towns, registering individual, registering merchants, corner shop, the barber, the hairdresser, the shoemaker, everyone, all and sundry, to be registered on the platform that we may be able to, one, receive our monthly stimulus and to be able to trade among ourselves. Because that is the essence. As you would have heard it said time and time again, the dollar that enters the Black community leaves too quickly. There is no wealth generation and wealth creation methodology to sustain ourselves. We love to spend with other people, but not among ourselves. This call is for us to change that trajectory. This call is for us to do things differently. We speak about the Great Reset. Are we referring to another reset or the one that we want to establish? May I invite all in the listening of my voice in this room to be the change that you would like to see in the world. Each of us is a microcosm of the whole. So may I crave your indulgence in logging on to progress. This is real prosperity. This is no fake prosperity. And it would be a sad day if this train gets rolling and you are not on board. So I beg of you, get on board. Be that change that you would want to be a microcosm of the whole, and we'll all get on the other shore, celebrating the victory of liberating our race, and let our forefathers, Marcus Garvey, Queen Nani, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and all the great patriarchs of old, their spirit would be rejoicing in the grave, because they would say, free at last, free at last. Thank God we are free at last. May that be our clarion call and our song of praise when we get on the other shore, other side of the shore, as we liberate ourselves, utilizing SWORD as the organizational arm and the Lumi as our economic base to liberate ourselves. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Thank you very much. That's our Honorable Hugh Johnson, our very articulate Second Vice Prime Minister of the State of the African Diaspora, SOAD. You are locked into the summit, and we are happy to have you here from all across the United States, all over Mother Africa, throughout the Caribbean. And we are glad we even have someone as far away as New Zealand joining us. And so welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. At this point, we are going to get into the Q&A. We're going to take our questions, and I think we have a Miss Riley, or maybe it's Couture.
Hi.
Yes, you can go ahead with your question. I know your hand has been raised for quite a while.
Yeah, I just raised my hand, so when the meeting finished, I could ask my question. So I would like to know, how do I get my business on the platform, on the Swiffin platform?
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Linus?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah, how do I get my business onto the Swiffin platform was the question.
Okay, you go to the registration link and just select the business option and provide the information that is requested. It's actually there is a lot of self-guidance in the registration process. Just provide the information that's required.
Okay,
thank you, sir. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Do we have any other questions? You can enter them here at this time. I think we have all of the hands raised taken care of. Are there any other questions for our panel?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yes, go right ahead. Surely,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I have the app on my phone and I registered this November. I just want to ask how to take out or transfer money to, the Lumi to another currency of where I'm staying, like the Great Britain to the pound.
At the moment, you need to use the Lumi as the Lumi. The Lumi is issued electronically and you need to use it in its purest form.
Okay.
Electronically by transferring it to other people on the platform or buying goods and services that are listed on the marketplace. We are not allowing conversion in a way that can be used outside of the platform, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
What we have done, though, is in order to support people keeping the funds in Lumi, made it possible for you to specify an amount that is payable in any local currency in the world. And the platform will calculate the underlying amount in Lumi, which can then be transferred across, just to make it easier for people to use it. But your counterparty or the recipient also must have an account on the platform. This is part of a quiet revolution for all of us coming together to use our own currency and to ensure that we can bring other people onto the ecosystem so that collectively we can begin to transform access and ensure that the money remains within our communities for longer than it has historically been the case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, you ask a question. Yes, go right ahead.
I do not think I quite understand what he just explained to the question she just asked. So I'm just going to ask her. Is it that he's saying that when we receive the Lumi, we're supposed to send the Lumi instead of transferring it to our currency?
Sorry, can you ask again?
Hello? I am saying to the question she just asked, I don't think I understand what you just explained. So I'm trying to figure out, is it that you're saying that when we receive the Lumi, is it that we're supposed to spend it as Lumi, just as we receive it, other than changing it out in our currency?
Absolutely right. You put it in a much better way. Thank you. So you receive Lumi, you spend
thank
Lumi.
you.
No conversion.
And that way the money stays in the community.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead with your question.
Okay, if somebody already signed up as an individual, but they have a business, can they go back and sign up the business too, so they'll have two accounts?
Yes, you can have two accounts. In fact, if you are an agent and you want to maintain a different agent account in order to monitor your agent activity as somebody who is helping to support the drive for adoption, then you can have an agent account, your personal account, and if you have a business, you can have a business account.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, go ahead with your question.
Okay, my question is over the credit. On the banking, on the icon of banking, I can't find the payment to self icon. Is the credit already active, or we have to wait?
It is already active on the platform, and it is only available to businesses. So if you have a business account, then yes, you will be able to see it. If you have an individual account, then no, you will not.
Since when is it active? Because I was trying yesterday, the payment to self or to myself was not among the icons there.
It's been there for more than a week. It's been there for more than a week.
Oh, Okay, I'll try it today again, and I'll see.
I can share my screen and show very quickly if it helps.
Yeah, it will help a lot. Maybe I've got an older version of the Swiffin. Maybe, I don't know.
Are you doing this online or on the app?
I'm using it online on the laptop. But
okay, I'm sharing my screen, so if I were to log in online,
yes,
into an account that is a business account, like I said, this is available to agents and
business
and any other business account. So AKL, let me see, AKL agent, if I have that. Now, once you log in, you click on banking on the top.
Yes.
And you see this icon here, payment to self.
I can't. I've been trying. I'm sorry. It's not.
Okay, that's absolutely fine.
My on my account. It's actually a business account.
Okay, when you click on personal, can I ask you to click on personal and tell me the status of your account? Is it approved or not?
It's approved, and it also got the stimulant, the first one.
Okay, that's something we need to look at. I can look into that for you, but I can assure you that this service has been rolled out. It's available on any business account, unless. What's your Swiffin ID?
Okay, let me just look for it.
And for the benefit of everyone, since I'm on the screen, if you go to banking and you go to payment to self, if you want to borrow 1 Lumi, you just click on AKL credit, you enter the amount, 1 Lumi, you click next. You are required to at least specify the use of funds, let's say operating capital. The reason you have to specify this is that there is 10,000 available. You can only draw the first 1,000, I believe. And then after that, you can draw subsequent amounts. Now, if the reason that you specified before, you need to demonstrate, and this will be available on your transaction record to see how you've used the money and the payments that are coming back into your account, okay? Once you then read these conditions, you press confirm, and the money should be in your account. That's it. It's really very straightforward. Click of a button, and I can come in here, and I can see that I've just borrowed 1,000. Now, if you click on that particular transaction, you see that it's an AKL drawdown credit line, okay? And I can see from my transaction history how much I have borrowed and how much is remaining. So credit line drawdown, credit line repayment. I can see how much I have borrowed and how much I need to pay. So net amount, in my case, is the total received, the net income is 1. So I actually owe one Lumi. If I want to repay that Lumi, again, I go to payment to self. This time, the repayment is coming from your account back to the credit. Okay, so again, I just pay 1. Let's say I pay half, 0.5, just to show you that this will show that I borrowed 1, I repaid half, and the amount that is left is half. So I can come here, click, go to filters, look at just the transactions, the credit line drawdown and the repayments, and we can see that the total amount that I have paid is half. The total amount net is half that is remaining. And just in case I had done this before, I can look at the whole of 2021. I know this was rolled out in 2021. Is there anything? Have I ever borrowed any money using this on this account? And as you can see, for the whole of 2021, answer is no. I have actually borrowed 1. I have repaid 0.5. And so the amount that is remaining is half. If I want to repay that, this is about self-discipline, okay? Because if you impose a certain level of self-discipline on it and you want to get the credit line again, then the system lets you get it. If you don't impose self-discipline and you think you can just take it and walk away, then the next time you need it, the system will let you to have it. It's really as simple as that. You will not be able to call Chief Samaco. I can tell you that for sure. So this is not about connections. It's not about anything else. It's about providing a level playing field where everyone that can have access gets access. And then what they do with it is what determines what happens next. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can repay that one as well. Again, payment to self. Now I want to, it's going from my AKL account, and it has to be payment to self. AKL account, the amount I'm paying is half. Now, if you over repay, it's fine, okay? Because if you over repay, it's almost as if you are saving your money with the Central Solar Reserve Bank. I can assure you that will never be lost because you can get it back anytime, right? Mm-hmm. So if I look at my account now and I go to the filters and I look at all the drawdowns and repayments, I can see that, okay, I borrowed one, I repaid half, and the net amount that I owe is 0. So I'm fine. Now, if I go back and I want to borrow 62, the system will let me because I've shown good discipline. I borrowed, I paid back when I needed to pay back. Now, if I over repay, then I will just maintain a positive balance with the Central Solar Reserve Bank. It's more like saving your money with the central bank. And it's absolutely okay because you can pull that back at any time, right?
Okay.
So if you over repay, don't worry, you can pull it back.
Right. We have a few other questions, quite a bit of questions lined up, Dr. Linus. Let me see if any hands have dropped because of some of the things you may have said there. But we do have Dennis Wilson. You can go ahead with your question, Dennis.
I thought you wanted my ID, the Swiffin ID.
Yes, you can type it on the chat and we can take a look for you.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thanks.
Hello.
Yes, hi, Dennis.
Yeah, I text some to the minister and Mr. Linus personally because he just helped me. I'm saying, I was trying to explain. He just helped me out to activate my account. So now I want to move on. I want to be able to do more stuff, like even to start up community farming, something small. And then I also would like to progress within the government. I want to, be a vehicle. So I need helping hand to economically get myself in a position where I can do more.
Okay,
so
thank you very much, sir. Okay, that's noted. Florence, you are next. You have your hand up, a raised hand for a question.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand. I've asked my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you too. Is it Lufuma? Lufuma?
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. My question is quite very simple. I'm actually asking this from Zambia. I'm a resident of the country called Zambia. Now, suppose you had kids or the young ones under the age of 18. Is it possible to open an individual account for them? And if yes, how do I go about it? Thank you.
Okay. I think there is a general understanding that family can open accounts for their young ones as long as they are over 16 years old. So anyone who is 16, 17, you can create an account for them. As a parent, what you need to do is you go online and you can actually register them, okay? But they have to be registered by you. If they are in school and they have a student ID, then you need to upload the student ID if they don't have a national ID yet. And in addition to that, you can upload the birth certificate. And as long as you are the parent and you are giving your authority by registering them that they have an account, then we would accept and we would open it.
Okay, no, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good question. We have Demetrius Robinson.
Good afternoon. The question I have is, you spoke earlier in regards to a referral link that was just up this morning, and I just wanted to find out how can I find the link within the phone app?
Okay, that's very good. The link is accessible online. I usually like showing people things. So again, that's my screen. If you log in, you need to, let me log in as AKL agent, for example. Now, when you log in for the first time, oops, when you log in, it will take you to the dashboard. You must click on this Use Classic Front End. Okay, we have two front ends. This is a new front end, and the classic front end is the old front end. There is some functionality that's not available on the new front end yet, but which is available on the classic front end. So you must click on Use Classic Front End. And then when you do that, you come in here and click on Invite New User. See this button? You click on it, and it'll come up with this. And you just put the email address. Anybody who wants to be invited by me, you give your email address, and we can check this out right now. So if I wanted to invite myself, I'll put linus.etude@gmail.com, for example. If you want to add more, I guess you can click that, and you can add more. You can add more people to the list. Oh, I've just removed it. linus.etude@gmail.com. After that, you just click send. Really, it's as simple as that. And that account then gets linked. Now, if you want you to become the broker for that particular person you're sending the invitation to, you must make sure that this link is ticked. If it is unticked, then it will not be automatically assigned. But if it is, then it will be automatically assigned.
And quick question, I'm sorry, Brother Linus. When you check the box to be a broker, can you explain exactly what that means?
What that means is that the account will be assigned to you as the agent. It's really simple. And the significance of that is that when there is a payment or a transaction on that account, then you receive a commission, and that commission level is 16% of the applicable fee. At the moment, you notice that all the transactions that are done on the exchange are free of charge, okay, to the customer. But it looks as if they are free of charge because the Central Solar Reserve Bank is actually paying the fee that is relating to that particular transaction. And that will happen for the duration of the stimulus. After that, the situation may be different. That fee then becomes transferred to the customer when they execute. So for that fee that is charged, and the actual precise fee is about 0.099 plus 1.2%. That gets shared across the exchange. It is distributed to other people. So if you bring somebody on board, then you get 16% of that fee. And then if you have a merchant account and your merchant account has the agent account, so the agent gets 16%, the merchant gets 4%, that's 24%. If it's a bank or a financial institution, the bank gets 4% plus an extra 27% for onboarding the customer and providing local currency services. So you realize that the vast majority of the commissions or fees that are charged on the exchange are distributed to make it work for everybody.
Very good. Thank you very much. And one quick question, last question, I don't mean to hold people up. Do you have any representatives of Swiffin in the United States that are meeting with Pan-African organizations and also businesses to give presentations in regards to your platform?
In the United States, I don't believe specifically. So if you want to take on and champion that, you're very welcome. I know SOAD organizes seminars for South America. That's Brazil and all that. We've had a number of those sessions, but we don't have a specific representative in the United States per se.
I did contact you, and if you send me your contact information, we can talk further when you are available. And because I am currently in New Jersey, I'm in a very good region with New York, Philadelphia, DC, the Maryland area, and I have relatives in Atlanta as well. So we can talk further about that if you like.
That's great. I mean, I can post my contact details here. Email address is linus.etube@swiffin.com.
Yes. Can you hear me, Dr. Linus?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Doctor? Yes, Demetrius, of course, thank you very much for that question. And we do have our members of parliament, our MPs in North America. So of course, we can sort of arrange specific summits in North America. So we can arrange. Ozel, yes. Do you know Ozel?
Yes. No,
Yes,
but
yes.
I've been reading up some of them. Yes.
Okay, so we can certainly look at the parliamentary representation in North America and set something up for North America.
Sure, if you could forward that information to me, I would appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Well, what I'll do, could you give me your email address in the chat, and then I can take that and organize that for the MPs. Yes.
I certainly will. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sounds like we're going to be some big movement in North America. Thank you for the question. Great question. Mokapi, I see your hand is raised. Do you have your question still?
Yes, yes, I do. Give thanks. I think the first one was, my first question was, how do you get the credit line? I think that has been answered.
Okay.
The second one was, how do you sign up community groups? And the reason why I say that is, I'm in Tanzania at the moment, from the UK in Tanzania, and there's a community group that I work with, and I mentioned the Lumi to them, right? And how do I sign them up?
Okay, most community groups are organized. They might have a constitution. They may actually be registered as a non-profit organization. If that is the case, then the best thing to do is to register them as a business under the business category, and then provide the constitution and perhaps minutes of a meeting at which a decision was taken to register the organization. If they're registered as a non-profit organization with the Companies House, for example, or anywhere, then provide that information and then create the account that way. We'll activate it. Now, if the community organization itself doesn't have an organized structure and you cannot register it as a business, then at the very least, all the members can be registered.
Okay. Which leads to the next point, which was raised earlier. For example, 100 US in T shillings is 231,899. Now the question is that you sign someone up and that goes into their account, right? Due to the situation that they're in, they want to be able to spend that money. And what you're saying is that it can only be spent Lumi to Lumi. So then that means that you need to be, businesses need to have signed up to the Lumi so that they can actually spend their money in Lumi. So how do you get out of that situation? Because I think that ones are really looking to get the Lumi and to be straight up, want to spend.
Yes, that's why every one of us is such an important part of the entire ecosystem. So amongst us, if you have a business, register your business and start accepting the Lumi. If you have a restaurant, get people in to come and buy food and pay you in Lumi. If you want to go and buy vegetables for your restaurant to come and cook in your restaurant, find somebody who accepts Lumi and pay them in Lumi. That way we create an ecosystem where the money stays within the community and within our economies, and we can begin to grow wealth that way. And people can use the stimulus that they've received to pay for goods and services through our own channels within our communities. That's the value proposition at the moment. It's not about converting to local currencies.
Okay, can I ask a question now?
Yes, go ahead, Vanessa. Thank you.
All right, so it's like a follow-up from what was just said. I think a lot of businesses should register, like mostly supermarkets, because a lot of persons in Jamaica here in St. Thomas keep asking if they can use the Lumi at or local supermarkets in our parish. And I think that we need to really reach out to, well, I personally will try to reach out to a lot of businesses for them to get registered for the Lumi so persons can feel comfortable spending the Lumi, because we're not aware of or have a list of businesses in Jamaica that actually does accept the Lumi. So from the question that before, I think that's a real good point. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Let me just
there is an
jump in there for
opportunity
2
for us to
seconds.
create
Dr. Linus,
use
can
the
I jump in
stimulus
there
that
for
we
2 seconds? Let me jump in there for 2 seconds. Vanessa Morgan, thank you so much for your commentary. And given that, you know, I only want to address this because I know you're sitting in St. Thomas, Jamaica. And, you know, obviously with my roots being both in Portland and in Soho District, St. Thomas, just outside of Morant Bay, I have to talk specifically to this point. It is crucial that everybody in that community, what you define as the problem is our solution, because we know there is currently no resources circulating within St. Thomas. St. Thomas is one of the most heavily impacted communities in Jamaica when it comes to economic sufferation. And it has been in that condition ever since the revolts of years before under Paul Bogle. So the Lumi is an opportunity for all of St. Thomas to transform itself in this 21st century, especially under the leadership of the strong Rastai community and all of our people throughout St. Thomas. So thank you for the question. Please ensure that all of the shops out there are registered on Lumi platform.
Thank you, sir. I will definitely do that.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you very much for that question. I see a lot of Rick, a lot of K's and a lot of X's. Rick, your hand is raised. Go ahead with your question.
Is that Ricky?
Ricky, it's okay.
Okay.
Welcome.
How you doing there? Protocol for everybody on the line. I just want to find out, we were told that there was going to be an iOS version of the app, and I just want to know what the status is regarding that, because I want to get busy. Did you hear that?
Yes, Dr. Linus?
Yes,
Will you take that?
that actually is available, and quite frankly, we just haven't posted it on Apple Play Store yet, but we will endeavor to do it as soon as possible.
What's the timeline on that, please? Because I can't do what I want to do without it, because there's millions of us who've got iOS who don't want to use Android. So I'm in a position where I'm limited to what I can do, how I can promote it, market the Lumi without it.
Okay, very good. We will get that done, but I can assure you that you can do absolutely everything that you can do on the app online.
I hear that.
You have a smartphone, you can go to platform.swiffin.com.
People want choice. Thank you for your time. And one more question. As far as, because I'm in the UK, when you spoke to the direction regarding charities and non-profit organizations, can the non-profit organization itself be a broker, is the question.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And so they can be registered as a business, but they can still have potentially individuals from the organization that can be registering themselves as a broker. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time.
Can I ask a question, please?
So can we go to Richard Qr, please? Richard Qr, you had your hand up, please. Richard Qr? Hello?
Hello.
Richard, could you ask your question, please?
Yes. You get
Your mic is very low. You're very low.
Okay, I think it's up now. Yeah, I'm a merchant and I started receiving Lumi in my laundry shop and has collected over about 3,000 Lumi. And now I'm faced with the challenge of continuing the business itself. So when I listen, people say we should continue.
Richard, we're not hearing you at all. Richard, we're not hearing you at all, unfortunately.
Hello.
Yes, that's
Hello?
much better. Thank you.
Okay. I say I'm a merchant in Cameroon and I started receiving Lumi in my laundry shop and has collected up to about 3,000 Lumi from those who come to do laundry in my shop. And now I'm faced with the challenge of buying products to continue with the Lumi. So when I listen in the summit from time to time, we keep saying we need to create Lumi partners whereby we can go and exchange. I find it very difficult for myself and how I've been accepting Lumi so far up to now, and I'm unable to continue business. So it sounds to me as it is instead a drawback, because sometimes we speak as if we need to create a perfect market. So it's difficult. I have at least 3,000 Lumi in my account and above, because I've been accepting Lumi for people who come to do laundry in my shop. So the question I'm asking now is there no possibility that merchants at the end of the day can get some funds in order to replenish their shops? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Richard. And the point is well noted. We are having very advanced discussions as it pertains, especially in our new cooperation with the African Central Bank. We're having discussions as it pertains to Lumi conversion vis-a-vis the African Central Bank back into local fiat, so that merchants who are dependent on certain activities can indeed get access to local fiat. However, it is not our immediate target or mandate, but we do recognize that merchants such as yourself are having that predicament, and that will be a predicament in the short term. Notwithstanding, I have been advised by AFRA that we will try to accommodate the local merchants. Part of the target must be that you continentalize your supply chain as opposed to being dependent on imports, especially coming in from Asia or even Europe for that matter, where your counterpart is not part of the African diaspora. Because the biggest challenge that merchants like yourself have is that you're importing goods from China, and consequently you need US dollar to settle Chinese imports. And more often than not, you're importing things like toothpaste and soap and all kinds of things that can be easily produced within Africa and throughout the diasporic family, but we're importing it from Asia and consequently losing our economic base because of those imports. Notwithstanding, we appreciate that it'll be a period of time for the transition. And as I said, through our cooperation with the African Central Bank, frameworks are being put in place to accommodate merchants such as yourself going forward.
Thank you. If you may allow me to come in. Richard, I was trying to locate you. If you can get in touch with me and see how you can be assisted. I'll put my contacts in the chats. Please try to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Servius. Okay, and so we move on to our final question, Donette Winter. Hello, Donette, go ahead. Hello, Donette Winter, are you still there? Are you still with us?
Can I have a question in the meantime?
Yes, you may, certainly, go ahead.
Is the Lumi dollars being recognized in the banks in Jamaica? Hello?
Timothy,
Are
do
you
you
hearing
want
me?
to? Hi, Chief Timothy, would you like to take that question? Hi, Chief Timothy, are you still with us?
Sorry, I just jumped on a call. I apologize for that. Can I have the question
No
repeated?
problem. Yes, go ahead with your question. You can repeat, that's fine.
I am trying to find out if the Lumi dollars is being recognized in the banks in Jamaica by the BOJ.
Did you ask if it's recognized by the BOJ?
Yeah, our banks in Jamaica, throughout Jamaica.
Well, as it relates to the BOJ, who I have the utmost respect for, they are obviously one very important monetary authority on the island of Jamaica, but they are not the only monetary authority on the island of Jamaica. And from our sovereign position, we cannot speak to what Jamaica does choose to or not to regulate or recognize. I've heard the statements in the past and I've seen the commenters and I've had direct meetings with them. And I think it's twofold. I don't want to get into it too overtly in this discussion, but I will try to be as diplomatic as possible. First of all, I think that we have a basic reality that Jamaica is Jamaica. And that means that the Queen of England is still the head of state for Jamaica. And as such, we could not require nor be seen to be requesting permission from the Queen of England for the circulation of our indigenous currency. And so insofar as the administration from the Queen of England may choose to or not to recognize the Lumi within their basket of currencies, that is their prerogative. What I can say is that we do have recognition for the Lumi within the African Finance Regulatory Authority and within the African Central Bank. And as they prepare to open their Diaspora division, which will be active throughout all of the Caribbean, all of Europe, and all of America, or the Americas, and that the Lumi will be within that basket of currencies operated by the African Diaspora Central Bank. I could only imagine that the Bank of Jamaica and all similar financial institutions, if they had any wisdom, would want to be recognizing the Lumi as quickly as possible. I hope that answers your question.
Another question, please. Can you stay here in Jamaica and register people in abroad, like in America?
I'm not sure I really understood that question.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, repeat.
Ms. Thomas, you are having some
I'm asking
technical-
if we could stay here in Jamaica. And you hearing me now?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Hello?
I'm hearing you.
I'm asking if we can stay here in Jamaica, if we can stay here in Jamaica and register people in America.
Well, I think we can stay here in Jamaica and register people anywhere around the world. At the end of the day, if you look at other financial instruments, whether it be the US dollar as a fiat instrument or the Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency, they know no borders and no limitations. The US dollar is everywhere, the Bitcoin is everywhere, and now the Lumi is everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Thank you.
Can I
You
ask
have
a
a question?
question and make a point, please?
Yes, go ahead. This is the final question.
Sorry,
Okay,
Donette,
thank
sorry,
you.
Can Donette, Donette
thank
has been
you.
waiting very patiently. Could Donette
Oh,
please?
she's there now? She's
yes,
here?
she's back. Yes,
Okay,
please. Could
no
Danette,
I
problem.
never finished my,
and then
I
after,
never finished my point.
yeah, but could you come after Danette, please, because she has been waiting patiently, and I think you asked one question earlier on. So please, your patience, and if Danette could just ask, and then we'll come to you, Selassie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Donette in Jamaica, and the lady who just asked the question, if she could just post her number in the chat. I'm member of parliament in Jamaica. Then I could reach out to her and connect her with the team that is on the ground that Sir Johnson might have spoken of. Okay, my question is for Dr. Linus. Dr. Linus, you demonstrated how the brokers may institute that function in the platform when we are sending the link. So my question is, those persons who have registered previous to now, are they able to still make previous registrants connected to yourself? Are you able to do that?
What happens is that we have a process that is run in the background to assign where a referrer ID is specified, to assign those customers to the referrer. Okay, and if you have onboarded anybody and specified your Swiffin ID and that has not been done yet, I can assure you 100% it will be allocated. Once the team that is responsible for doing that gets to doing it, it will be allocated.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. No
and also, it is worth saying that if you have an account and you actually log into your own account and then register somebody while you're logged in, that of course gets assigned automatically. You don't have to ask any questions. You don't have to send an email, and it doesn't wait. It gets done instantly as you complete the registration process. And that's how financial institutions, merchants, agents can actually use it to build a network of accounts that are automatically assigned and automatically activated, so they don't actually go through the pending period of waiting for review for them to be activated.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
You might still have the pending tag associated to it, but that's just to warn the team that, have a look, there is an account there that has been newly created, which warrants attention.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Lennon, just to add something. This is Mike from Jamaica.
Can I come in now, please?
Mike here. I'll yield the floor to the person before me.
Okay, give thanks. Yes. My points, I didn't really get through all of them, but I give thanks anyhow. I signed up as an individual, a personal account. I also have a business account, and I was supposed to get linked up as an agent, and I'm not sure if that has happened. That's number one. I can deal with Dr. Linus offline to sort that in. My point is that I stated earlier that there's a community group, and when I go to this community group and sign them up, right, because of the economic situation that they're in, right, they've got 100 US, right, equivalent in their Lumi, which is 231,899 T shillings. And they cannot use the Lumi. Therefore, it means that where they spend their money, then those merchants need to sign up to the Lumi so that they therefore can spend their money, right? What means a verification does SOAD provide for an agent? So for example, if I go there and say that, talk to them about the Lumi, they need to see something. If I haven't got an ID card, I don't have a letter of verification saying I'm an agent for the Lumi, why are they going to listen to One, why they're going to listen to me, and two, why would they sign up for the Lumi? That's my point. And how do you get an ID card if one's signed up already?
I think I would like to maybe ask Dr. Linus to address a detail on that point, as for all intents and purposes, what you're asking them to sign up onto is the Swiffin Platform, which is a space for civil society and businesses of African diaspora and on the continent all to interact with one another. So you are not an agent per se of the Lumi, in that you're not a representative of the bank, right? You're asking them to participate in the platform in which our global diaspora community and continental community are engaging in trade together. And so it's just important to keep in mind the nuances of what's being represented there.
That's correct. In some markets where we have local financial institutions that offer local currency services, those financial institutions actually have their own campaigns where they have their own merchant network and their agents that they are onboarding. And in that case, they are actually approaching those customers as a financial institution to create accounts for them. Now, with the Lumi, where we don't have, in any market where we don't have a local financial institution for regulatory purposes, we just allow access only to the Lumi account. Under the initiative of the Central Solar Reserve Bank, and the fact that this is part of the Eco-6 region, and we're trying to incorporate and enable access for everyone in the diaspora and within continental Africa and within the African diaspora as part of the Eco-6 region. So that is correct. We are encouraging people to come on board, it's a question of making a recommendation to them that there are all these people who have received their stimulus in Lumi. If you are a business and you want their money, then you better come onto the platform so that they can pay you. It's not different from saying that if you want to be paid via a bank account, then you need to go to a bank and create an account with the bank. Otherwise, you will not get paid via bank. It's not different. If you want to be paid via PayPal, you need to create a PayPal account. If you want to receive Bitcoin, you need a Bitcoin wallet. We have our Lumi, and if you want to trade and transact in the Lumi, for now, you need to get a Swiffin account. Does that answer your question?
Hello, Selassie, you're on mute.
No, but I accept it anyhow. But it doesn't answer the question.
Dr. Linus, just a question for me and also Timothy. I think you've already explained, but could I just get clarification that the drawdown, the line of credit is available to Pan-African organizations? Is that correct?
Yes, they have to be, yes, but they have to be registered as a business. That credit line right now is not available to accounts that are registered as individual accounts. And the gentleman who said earlier on that he could not see payment to self, and that was Samson's Mining Company Limited. That account was actually created as an individual account. It's not on the system as a business. Now, the reason we allow names that sound like businesses to be registered, because we know that within continental Africa, for example, a lot of people who engage in businesses are sole traders. They don't have a formally registered business. So you can have a sole trading activity and that can therefore be registered and it's okay, but you don't have a formally registered business. In order for you to benefit from the stimulus, we are, at the moment, it's been activated for those who have a business account because it's a stimulus to support businesses.
Okay.
So the
All right.
Pan-African organization needs to be registered as a business in the business category.
Thank you, Dr. Linus. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a question I'd like to ask. It's along the lines of representation. Are we encouraging Pan-African organizations, businesses to use the Lumi logo, use the Swiffin logo in their establishment for trade, you know, maybe putting it on their flyers, on their website and that kind of thing? Is that encouraged? Is that something that we want to see happen?
That is very much encouraged. Just like, as far as Swiffin is concerned, that is very much encouraged, because if you take your bank card that is issued to you from any bank, it will typically have Visa on it or MasterCard on it. And if you go to a payment processing terminal, there will be POS devices that process these cards. One way of knowing that you can pay with Lumi is to have both the Lumi sign and the logo for the Swiffin platform, for example, so that you know you can actually use Swiffin to pay there. And if you can pay with Swiffin, then maybe you can also accept Lumi. But given that in some countries, some financial institutions may be using the platform to deliver services in local currency, it doesn't always mean that where you see the Swiffin sign, it means that Lumi is also accepted, because the merchant may only be trading in the local currency that is accessible in that country on the Swiffin platform.
I see.
So I think it's best to have both, with the permission of Chief Samaco. We have the Lumi logo and the Swiffin logo, where it is very clear that the merchant accepts the Lumi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Linus. And since we wrap up rather with a finale by the creator of the Lumi, and closing remarks to Chief.
And may I add to that as sorry, DeAndrea?
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, in terms of advertising the logo, we do have, and we would like all those that are citizens of the state and of ECHO 6 we will have a logo called a member of the economic community. So we want to sensitize that you are a member of the economic community, that you belong to the 6th region, and you're a part of this economic global family that has this global currency. So any business also that are citizens of ECHO 6, we will issue you with a member of the economic community logo, so that identifies and connects the global family. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Honorable Vice Prime Minister.
Sorry, Ms. Hamilton. One thing I want to say, because persons are so used to the other currency, our own currency coming to us now, persons are still, even though they're a part of it, they're still having a little doubt based on how to accept our own currency. Guys, I think we need to allow ourselves to embrace this, because this is ours. And because we're used to like shopping from China and all the rest of places that Chief had mentioned before, it's kind of very awkward for us to even ourselves to purchase from our own African people. I think we need to really embrace this currency so we can be able to support other businesses in our African diaspora. And that's the only way we can grow in that atmosphere, because we're only thinking about how to get the money off the Lumi to a Jamaican currency or to the local currency that we are in that country, because we're not used to this as yet. But if we ourselves, as people of the diaspora, don't accept and willing to embrace this in the way it should, then that's where we're going to have a little difficulties. So we have to accept it, we have to use it, we have to willing to share it with everybody we come in contact with, businesses, supermarkets, every local businesses, every business that you know, people that you buy things from overseas, introduce it to them so that they will be able to accept this currency. So we don't have to keep asking the question if we're going to change this money back over to another currency, because the Lumi is ours and I'm willing to keep it and accept it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vanessa. Passionately said. You almost gave our closing remarks. We'll see what Chief Timothy has to say about that. He will wrap us up as we wind down another Lumi Summit, with the focus being on Pan-African organizations. And we welcome now to the floor yet again, Chief Timothy Samaco III.
Thank you so much. You know, this evening has been very special. And I want to thank our sister Morgan and St. Thomas for her closing commentary, because the idea of addiction, addicted to buying coconut lotion made in Shanghai, when who has better coconut lotion than us? And indeed, most of those products are imported from the Caribbean, or rather exported from the Caribbean, exported from Africa, processed somewhere else, and then sold back to us. We must break that cycle. As a chief, and indeed in my capacity, not only as chairman for the economic community of the 6th region, but also as Miwa and Yenwa for Badagry Kingdom in Nigeria, and a crown wearer for our kingdom in Cape Coast, Ghana. I want to share some images with you of handshakes and politics as I close out, because it's sometimes important to reflect on the journey. So let me share some images while I talk my way out. You see, in the past, we waved our flag. We waved our revolutionary flags, and we spoke Pan-African politics. But as we go forward, and Deputy Prime Minister Katura made some important statements earlier about the legacy of Pan-Africanism and about the commonality that we have between the diaspora and the continent. And in this 21st century, my politic is Lumi. I've said it before and I will say it again. I'm not marching in the streets to protest for economic rights. I will express my economic rights by the way that I spend my money and by virtue of the very type of money I spend. So what do we have in common on the diaspora with our brothers and sisters on the continent? Everything, because we are one people and we are one family, and our conversation must be one. When I'm moving through continental Africa and I'm with the Crown Prince in Ghana, in Kumasi, in the Kingdom of Ashanti, I will talk to him about Lumi and our economic condition. When I'm traveling through the southern regions of Africa and I'm with His Majesty, the King of Lesotho, I will talk to him about our economic condition, and I will talk to him about Lumi. When I'm traveling through northern Nigeria and I'm with our dear Sultan, I will talk to him about our economic condition, and I will talk to him about Lumi. It is our plight, whether we are on the continent or whether we are in the diaspora, leaders of the Caribbean, former leaders of Nigeria, President Mack of Senegal, Lumi conversation. Meeting with the African Union chairman or deputy chairman, meeting with our brothers in South Africa, the economic freedom fighters, it is a Lumi conversation. Meeting with my fellow chiefs, meeting with my dear brother, Prime Minister Tin, or my dear sister, the former ambassador to the African Union, or my dear Oba. All conversations are always about Lumi. The president of the Pan-African Parliament, the African Union ambassador to the United Nations, and our own Maroon chief, former Colonel Pink. It is a Lumi conversation. Sitting with my king in Cape Coast, Ghana, or with the Prime Minister of Barbados, or with the head of the United Bank of Africa. It is a Lumi conversation. This is our journey. It is our talk, and we must be prepared to talk it everywhere we go, with everyone we meet, with every hand we shake. Because at the end of the day, all of those political leaders, all of those kings and queens, all of those economic giants have a common agenda, but they've never been able to bring that common agenda to a singular point. And it's caused a rift amongst themselves. We are a divided people, even when our agendas are the same. And so, my politic is Lumi. Because when I spend a Lumi, and when I use a Lumi, and when I hold my flag up and I say Lumi, then what I'm saying is I am contributing to African business. I am contributing to Nubian economics, not just where I'm standing, not just in Jamaica, not just in South Africa, not just in Ghana, but around the world. My politic is unification, economic empowerment for the global African family. That has to become our mantra. We cannot be content to say, oh, look here, I got, my little business is running okay and I'm doing fine and too bad for you. No, because the person that you're saying too bad to is the one who's going to rob you tomorrow night because he's starving and his family hasn't been able to eat. And so we have to return to our most, on the one hand, tribal psychology, and on the other hand, at the most universal psychology. Christ gave that message of love. I understand it. But at the end of the day, when our love does not lead us to eating food from one pot again, like they used to do in days of old, when our love does not allow us to care for the economic well-being of our next door neighbor, when our love allows us to tolerate that one of our brothers or sisters are homeless on the street, or having to prostitute out their bodies, or whatever is going on, as is the order of the day, then we have to stop the discussion on love and start the discussion on economics. And we don't mean it from a position of greed, but of well-being, unification, solidarity, and oneness. Because obviously, does it benefit me if I have all the wealth in the world, but everybody out there is pointing their guns in my direction because they want to rob me. It doesn't benefit me, and it doesn't benefit you. Our agenda has to be unification, security in numbers, security in knowing that our brother isn't sleeping on the street. That's the love that I want to express. Economic well-being, knowing that there's a roof over their head, knowing that there is food being put in the stomach at night. When you spend an American dollar, that is your commitment to the well-being of America. And we all know the American agenda. When you spend a euro, that is your commitment to Europe. And we all know the European agenda. But what is the African agenda in this 21st century? Let that agenda be to return to the glory that our ancestors once knew. I said it last week, that prolific leader, Mansa Musa, the former Sultan and King of Mali, the land of Timbuktu, which many of you still think is an imaginary place. He is the richest man that ever lived in all of history. But for all of his wealth and well-being, the fact of the matter is that in 2021, Mali is one of the poorest places, not only in Africa, but on planet Earth. And so we have to get rid of this individualistic psychology and return to a state of collective well-being. There are strength in numbers. So let our numbers reflect in our economics. It is time for us to get beyond this 400 years of captivity, as was expressed by our brother from Black Links. And it is time to move into a new era of economic prosperity, economic well-being, economic security, where I can look at you and know that every dollar that I spend is actually contributing to your well-being, and where you can look at me and know that every dollar that you spend is contributing to my well-being, whether I'm in Jamaica, whether I'm in Ghana, whether I'm in Brazil, whether I'm in China, whether I'm in France, or whether I'm in Canada. It doesn't matter. The boys on Wall Street who created Bitcoin, that was their psychology. And they walked into restaurants very boldly. They said, listen, I want to pay in Bitcoin. And 8 years ago, restaurants said, we don't know what Bitcoin is. We're not going to accept your Bitcoin. And so they just stood up. They said, okay, fine. If you're not going to accept my Bitcoin, then I'm not going to buy anything from your restaurant. I'm going to go find a restaurant that will accept my Bitcoin. I'm going to go find a hotel that will accept my Bitcoin. And of course, today, nobody is doubting the strength of Bitcoin, even though we don't know who issued it. So now we, as a global African family, must put our family in order and our economic house in order. And the Lumi is there to drive that economy. Eat what you grow what you eat. Domestication at a global level. Blessings and much love to you all.
Much, I got so excited about clapping, I forgot to unmute. Yes, much love to you too, Chief Timothy. Really well stated. And again, we're just so honored to have such charged messages, such powerful, prolific speakers who are grounding their message in, just the basic, good old-fashioned love and common sense. But now we see this is a tangible reality. This is real, it's here, it's clear, it's present, and it needs our commitment, it needs our energy, it needs our thrust, it needs our patience, it needs our work. And that is what we're doing. We are working hard to share and spread this message of what is the state of the African diaspora and significantly our currency, our official currency, the Lumi, what it does and how it could literally turn this world upside down and put us on the right side up. With that, we lead into our closing remarks from the state. That'll come to us today from our second Vice Prime Minister, the Honorable Hugh Johnson.
Thank you, Deandra. After such a solemn pronouncement, anything I try to do will take the shine off that. So all I'll say to us in the room is, all I'll say is that with that solemn admonition, may I beg of us for the chain not to break where we stand. It's a circle, and each of us is a link in that chain. And if we pledge by God's grace to heed these words of Chief Timothy, and pledge by God's grace for the chain not to break where I stand, we will survive. We will achieve this transformation that we are so long in need of. And in closing, may I ask for us to commit once more, commit ourselves daily to this task. It's not an easy task, but it's doable. And there's a colloquial proverb that says, many hands make work light. So each of us brighten the corner where we are. And if each of us would do that seamlessly and proficiently, we'll achieve at last that we will allow our ancestors to celebrate in their spirit to say, free at last, thank God we're free at last. So with that said, may I wish you all the blessing that is in store for you. And may we meet again next week to elaborate on these points and to educate each other as we hold hands and move along seamlessly. Thank you all, and goodbye.
Thank you, Honorable Hugh Johnson. And we do want to acknowledge that Prime Minister Dr. Lewis Tin managed to just get back into the room. I don't know if you wanted to say something really quickly, Prime Minister, or do we accept the close by Honorable Hugh Johnson?
Yes, thank you very much, dear spokesperson. So in my introduction, I spoke about the past. For the conclusion, I would like to speak about the future. We need to understand that the Pan-African world is already the first monetary zone, because the Lumi was accepted officially in the African authorities and by these authorities. It means that the Pan-African world, that includes 1,600,000,000 people, is already the first monetary zone, bigger than the Chinese zone, bigger than the Eurozone, bigger than the dollar zone. Of course, we are already first. It's just a matter of being deployed all over the world, but it's our responsibility to make it happen because that's already a reality. I would say also that Africa, if Africa was united, as Kwame Nkrumah wanted it to be, it will be already the sixth power in the world. Why? Because we have exactly the same GDP as India, for example. Well, you will tell me, well, India is a state, Africa is a collection of states. Well, guess what? India is also a collection of states. It's a federal state. So because they say it's India, they are a very powerful country. But because Africa looks very divided with many barriers and frontiers, we look like a collection of poor countries. But in fact, we have exactly the same population and the same DGP as India. So we are definitely the sixth power in the world. If you include the diaspora, which includes 350 million inhabitants, then we become immediately the third power in the world after United States and China. And now, if you stop the bleeding from Africa, we know that every day, billions of dollars, gold, cobalt, diamonds, oil, etc., are leaving Africa in a process of exploitation. If we could just stop this process of bleeding, and then you redo the calculation, immediately you will find out that we are already the first economy in the world. That seems very far or abstract. It is not. We have already the first monetary zone. We are the first economic power. When it comes to art and music, we are everywhere. When it comes to sports, we are the leaders. So in fact, everything is already there. It's just a matter for us to work to make it real, because the potential is more than wonderful. Of course, we need to fight to struggle. And it's also about making demonstrations. But you know, when you vote, for example, you vote perhaps every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, depending on your country, 5 or 6 years, I don't know. But when you are in the economic world, you vote every day with your wallet. Every time you buy something or you sell something, in fact, you vote with your wallet. And if you do that with Pan-African currency, you vote twice, because with a Lumi, you will buy black. You will buy black with a black currency. So you vote twice, and you do that every single day, probably several times every day. So the ballot is important when you vote. The wallet is even more, because you use it every single day. So people complain about the CFA in Africa, and they're right. C, I remind you, stands for colonial. So yes, it's a colonial currency, I agree. But to criticize it is good. To propose an alternative is better. And some people sometimes seem to think that a digital currency is not real. Well, first of all, the Lumi is also a hard currency. You've got banknotes in Jamaica. But let me tell you, when, for example, people started to make newspaper online, many people would say, oh, it's not a real newspaper because there's no paper. Today, if you say so, you look ridiculous. Let me give you another example.
Can't show me by. Apollo.
First digital photos started.
Wait. It's not lights.
You know the company Kodak?
Yes, hello. Mute for just a, I'm trying to find, but mute for us, please. Sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, go ahead.
Yes, so in the 90s, when the first digital photos started, you know this company called Kodak, the Japanese company, they were making a lot of photos. And they said, no, these digital photos are no photos because there is no paper. We shouldn't call them photos. They don't deserve the word photo. So they were making a kind of big campaign against digital photos. And today, everybody speaks about digital photos. There's no debate anymore. And do you know why? Because Kodak is dead. While they were struggling to keep the old system, everybody was moving to the new world, to the reset, to the digital world. So today there's no debate to know if the digital photos are photos. I would say the same thing. Some people may struggle to say, oh, is it real? While they are speaking like that, losing their times, we are building the reset, the new world where we are the leaders, which is actually a case, which is actually real. We just need to deploy this reality. So that's why I'm saying You can vote every day, but you need to vote with your wallet, and you need to vote with your currency. You need to vote with your Lumi. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, sir. And thank you all for joining us for yet another successful Lumi Summit. It's always exciting to get in the room, and as many times as we hear from our presenters, we really appreciate that each and every time you all do your homework and you come with some new perspective, and it just tells us how dynamic our African story really is. Every time you come with something new, something fresh, no matter how many times we participate in these summits. And we appreciate that you do your homework to ensure that we're hearing a fresh message, a fresh perspective, and that we could sort of put into context who we are, what we contribute, and our value individually. This is important. This is important. I love that each of our presenters always make us feel valued individually as we work toward a collective renaissance. So thank you for joining us. There will be another summit next week. Tell your friends, tell your cousins, tell your neighbors, because most likely, if you live where I live, they're all African. So let's have some more people in here. Let's fill this room. Let's aim for like 500 people in this room, and at least 400 of them being fresh faces with, let's really aim big and move and be inspired by the dynamics. When history is written and tells our story, we're gonna be there. We may not be inscribed in words, but our spirit, our momentum, our heart, our energy, it will be there. It will be there. So let's do it. Let's not underestimate these humble beginnings, because truly I can see it, I can feel it, and I'm a woman of great faith, great spirit, and I see a phenomenal shift. This is a new dispensation, trust me. And so thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patience. We've been here a long time. I am so hungry, and I'm sure you are too. Eat something healthy. I don't know if your sleep time, I don't know if it's waking up time for you, but whatever time it is, we really appreciate the time that you have invested, and we want to encourage you to not let this time be wasted. Make it really count by getting your Lumi wallet and spreading the Lumi message. Let's be what? Luminaries. That's the jargon we call it. We can latch on to Jamaica's song. Let's be luminaries. So thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, that does it for another wonderful session. And we wish you all the very best. And remember to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deandra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deandra. Thank you, everyone. Blessings.
Bye-bye.
So much for very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, love, and guidance to each and everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.